Yeah, when I was thinking about this and thinking about the stories we tell and thinking about people with 0 to 5 years experience, one of the key stories we tell is explaining what we do to other people. And this is in a number of different contexts, but no one really gets what we actually do because it's fairly different from the job that I imagine any of your other friends do or anybody else that you're with. And there are a number of people we need to explain it to. The first to our parents. As this proud chaps' parents can testify, you know, they've spent quite a bit of money probably shoving you through university, and they're very proud of the fact you now work in London, but they kind of want to know a little bit what you do and why you're in Birmingham. And I mean, my dad called me a non-producer, but you do need, fine. The other thing is, of course, that when you come here and you want to see yourself, you're a young professional, you're a high flyer, you have to go to dinner parties, you know, buy a bottle of wine from the off-licence and go to dinner parties like these good people. And a key question is, what do you do? And you need a sharp, sophisticated, impressive way of saying that. There's not going to lead to lots of follow-up questions that confuse people. The other thing you need to be able to do is, as this chap's doing, is when you're wooing someone pretty. He's probably being undermined by his mate back there, if you can see him. But even despite that, if he's trying to explain what he does as a qual researcher and why, as I say, he's going to Manchester on a Tuesday night to talk to middle-aged women, it's difficult to do, and she's not going to be impressed. So the first thing I want to do was think about what we don't do. Because I think we end up, because we don't want to say, I work in market research, we end up sometimes covering us, talking a whole load of, frankly, shit around using words like insight and consultant. It doesn't really mean anything, and we don't really know what it means. And we can talk ourselves into knots, particularly if we've had a few drinks. I think I'm proving. Demonstrating. Because, of course, market research has this really negative kind of image around it to do with doing surveys on street corners. I mean, this has been incorporated into some fantastic television shows over the years, as you can see. But it does. People even imagine that you're on a street corner with a survey talking to people, and that's not particularly impressive, or you're working on Excel all the time, and that's pretty dull. The other thing that we tend to sometimes do is we like to mention the advertising. Yeah, I work in advertising. Really, do you, Andrew? They came up with 4 ideas, and you said, oh, that one's quite good. And we do a lot more than that, but essentially. And it can seem strange what we're doing from the outside. I wouldn't imagine that any of your friends get to do some of the things that we get to do. Most of your friends probably stay within the M25, probably within sort of a lovely little Zone 1 area with a Starbucks nearby and a nice place to have lunch and all of these other great things. But we, of course, we don't do that. We get out there. And the other thing that we do is that when we go out there, we do it at night. Now, which is odd. Now, I mean, no doubt that some of your friends work evenings. You know, lawyer people, yes, I'm going to have to work late tonight, very busy and important work. We kind of seem to do shift work. We know what evening we're going to work and that we're going to be in Newcastle for it. And trying to explain that to people is curious. And we go to some bizarre places. We go up there and we arrive at Manchester Piccadilly and our friends and the taxi driver assume we're going to be going to some business. But we're not. We want to go to a suburban address somewhere. He doesn't know where it is. We've got a load of bags. We know Euston Station better than anybody else. Everyone in this room knows where the toilets are at Euston. And then when we get there, as I say, all of us have thought, yes, I'm a young graduate, young professional. Why am I standing in a living room that looks like the one they found my grandmother in, with a cup of tea that's horrible, but lovely biscuits served by the charming lady? This isn't where we wanted to be. It's not where we thought we'd be. And the whole concept of a focus group. Now, this isn't what they're like anymore, obviously, and but it's lovely. But you know, the whole idea from the very thing that we go away and we pay people with envelopes of cash to talk to us for the evening. You have 3 nights at Fieldhook on the bounce, and you haven't spoken to them that you haven't paid for 3 days. And Alf Garner here, because some of the views we hear, we expected to be having high-level conversation with, you know, Guardian reading types, all very intellectual. We hear, who here hasn't shuddered when a respondent starts with a line, I'm not racist, but... They're going to say something that would make Nick Griffin blush. However, forget all that. No, don't forget all that. But we do something great. We do get out there and we get to talk to these people. None of our friends get to do that. They're in the same office every day. We get to go out there and do something fantastic. Because what we get to do is we actually get to talk to the people who use these brands every day, the stakeholders, if you like, and we get to hear their stories. We get to hear how they're operating with it every day. This is the nod to the brief as well around stories. That's all I have. We get to hear the stories they have. We get to understand how they're using the product and get out there and talk to real people, as it were, which nobody else gets to do, and that we get to bring that back into this lovely bubble of young professional Starbucks and all that. And when we're out there, what we're doing is the research, it's not just some pass and fail test, because these people, I know I've been a bit dismissive of some of them, but they aren't stupid, and it isn't they're not just thumbs up, thumbs down with the ideas, the products, or whatever it is we're out there with. And we can see the potential of ideas when we're out there with them. They're a really important stakeholder to speak to, so should we be proud of that? However, that doesn't mean that we're just telling the consumer story. This guy here is meant to represent one of those clients who goes to one group, makes notes, and prefaces everything he says in the debrief with, well, from the group I saw, and I'm quoting, brilliant. He's quoting the nutter. That's fine. Great. Brilliant. He's quoting the racist. Fantastic. And the point I'm making here is, if anyone knows their French brands, is that we're the brand's champion. We're not out there just to bring we are talking to the consumer, and the consumers are vital, but we're not just there to champion their views. We're there to tell a story that is important to the brand, taking those consumer stories that we hear, but actually then turning it into something that works for the brand as the brand's champion. And a big smiley face, that's something great, and it's something fun, and it's something none of you, as I say, I keep saying this, none of your mates get to do this. You will get to go, and you'll spend one day sitting on a flowery sofa speaking to the middle-aged brummies about flatulence, and then the next day you're talking to the kind of planning director in Campaign magazine and being insightful. No one else gets that variation. They sit in one office and it's a bit dull. So my kind of overall point is that what we do is kind of great. It may not impress your parents, your friends, and it doesn't impress girls, but what we do is great because we get to talk to the world's weirdest, most racist and most interesting people. And that was kind of what I had to say to you, and that's it, and Merry Christmas.